Yes, we are back. We are live for a post-show for Friday night SmackDown. The European tour is winding down. Only one more European tour show to go. That is for Monday's edition of Raw. Tonight's episode of SmackDown was live internationally, not domestically, but live internationally on Netflix from London, England at the O2 Arena. And overall, I mean, what more needs to be said about SmackDown, really? I kind of spoke about this a lot, haven't we, when we've been doing these SmackDown watch-alongs and post-shows, whether it be from SmackDown from Barcelona, Spain, Bologna, Italy, or from London, England tonight, where it's the same problem that it was when Raw was a 3-hour show, which is there are some high spots, there are some low spots, there's a lot of filler going on. If this show was 2.5 hours, it would be an okay show. The build to WrestleMania continues. I still stand by the fact that it's really a one feud WrestleMania, in that the biggest, most exciting thing is the John Cena heel turn and the match with Cody Rhodes. The other main event, which we found out tonight, will be the triple threat match between Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins, and CM Punk. That will indeed be the WrestleMania main event for night one. So the main event for night two, of course, will be John Cena, Cody Rhodes, undisputed WWE Championship. The main event for night one, as I mentioned, will be this triple threat match between Roman Reigns, CM Punk, and Seth Rollins. And CM Punk finally gets to achieve and do what he's wanted to do for his entire career, which is main event a WrestleMania. He will be main eventing a night of WrestleMania, that being WrestleMania 41, night one in Las Vegas. We'll get into more details on that. Other WrestleMania feuds did get progressed this evening, but overall, it's an okay show. I think it was a bit better than last week's SmackDown in Bologna, not by a lot, but a little bit better, a bit more progression, particularly when it comes to this now main event feud that still feels a bit like Seth Rollins is a bit of an afterthought, but we'll get to that later on. So be sure to smash a like on the like button, guys. Be sure to subscribe as well, bottom right-hand corner. Straight away, we've got over 50 people watching, nearly 60. Let's see if we can get to a quick 50 likes. Already we're at 9 likes, so let's see if we can get to a quick 50. If you haven't already, click the like button. And be sure to subscribe as well whilst you're at it. As you can see in the bottom right-hand corner there, we're at 19,660. So that's, 340 subscribers to go until we hit 20k, which would be a massive milestone for this channel. This was the first channel I ever set up here on YouTube, my introduction into doing anything on YouTube. I set up in 2019, so it's been a long road, a lot of work put in, and I really appreciate everyone that's been subscribing recently and getting involved in the channel and clicking the like button, putting super chats in. It's really, really, really appreciated. So thank you to everyone that's subscribing. And also a reminder, you can join the WN365 roster. You can click the join button, links in the video description. You get your badges, your emojis, and your exclusive members-only content, which includes match rewatch series as well as gaming. Gaming is coming exclusive for members only. We actually was looking through some of the games on the watch-along. Got here TNA Impact, think I might be playing that for members. Also, WCW Mayhem, think I'm going to be playing that for members. I've got a stack of all of these games over here, so we're going to be having a lot of fun gaming for members in the future. Right, let's get into SmackDown. As I mentioned, show was from London, England, in the UK. Show started off with Cody Rhodes he's doing double duty, isn't he, at the moment? And the interesting thing about when look, John Cena is a free agent in terms of the roster split, but Cody Rhodes is a SmackDown star, but a lot of their interactions are happening on Raw. And because of this, you've got this awkward thing where Cody Rhodes is on both shows, but John Cena isn't on both shows. His schedule is limited. So he's still on the SmackDowns and coming out and doing promos, but it's kind of just for the sake of doing an appearance or just kind of being filler. So he comes out on this show and he didn't really say anything for 5-10 minutes. The crowd, to give London their credit, as has been the case across the European tour, the crowd was red hot, particularly for the opening segment, and Cody could barely get a word out. It was all Cody Rhodes chants. Very, very popular was the American Nightmare. He's interrupted by Randy Orton. Of course, Rhodes and Orton share a long history together, legacy, a mentor-mentee type role. Orton comes out. He was joined by Drew McIntyre in a bit, but Orton comes out and basically says that he's very proud of Cody and he's very pleased and Cody Rhodes is the main reason, or 99% of the reason why WWE is doing so great and selling all of these tickets and businesses up is because of Cody Rhodes, and he's proud of him. But just because he's proud of him doesn't necessarily mean that he's not going to want to come for his 15th championship. John Cena is going for the 17th title to break Ric Flair's record at WrestleMania, but Randy Orton wants to win his 15th. And, planting the seeds. Look, eventually, we're getting Randy Orton versus Cody Rhodes. I think it's just becoming quite plainly obvious, isn't it, that WWE's just in no rush to get to it because they've got time. And certain things are more time sensitive than others. So if you look at, for instance, John Cena, he's retiring at the end of the year. So they've got to do the Cena-Cody stuff now. Randy Orton versus Cody Rhodes, they could do it at WrestleMania next year. They could get they could wait for SummerSlam. Perhaps SummerSlam, remember, is a 2-night affair this time around, so they could possibly do that. So they're planting the seeds. We'll get there eventually. I mean, Randy Orton, maybe it's right after WrestleMania, the SmackDown, or Raw after WrestleMania, Orton turns, something like that. I don't know. But we're getting Cody versus Randy at some point. That's happening. But I don't think super soon. Maybe post-WrestleMania at the earliest. We're then interrupted by Drew McIntyre, who comes out and says, no, after WrestleMania, it's not going to be Randy Orton going for Cody Rhodes. It's going to be me going for Cody Rhodes. And then, of course, Cody Rhodes does the thing that all babyface champions do, which is just attack Drew McIntyre. Attacks him, drops down, hits the punch in the face. Randy goes for the RKO. Drew manages to get out, and that's the end of the opening segment. And it did feel like one of those ones where you come out of it, sets up a match for later on in the evening, McIntyre versus Randy Orton. So I get that. But in terms of what was actually the purpose, it largely felt like two purposes. One, we're going to book Drew McIntyre versus Randy Orton on the show. Now, we could just book it if we didn't have loads of time on the show. We could just book it and do the match, or we could do an opening segment. We could stretch it out a little bit. We need to get Cody on the show. He's advertised for the show. Is there much for Cody to do? Not really. Are we having him work many matches ahead of WrestleMania? Not really. We want to make sure that main event's protected, so we're not going to really do that. So it was kind of just get Cody on the show, maybe drop some teasers about what could happen in the future, maybe. And that was kind of it. So as an opening segment, it was just a bit, yeah. But it did a bit of business, set up the show for later on. We've got 81 people watching. We're at 26 likes. If you haven't already, click the like button. King of the Indies, one of our mods, is in the chat, says, let's go. Gareth says, that was how to do a SmackDown. Adam says, how goes Owen? Everyone smash that like button. Indeed, follow Adam's example there. Click the like button. Guys, you know what to do. If anything, actually, should probably move this. Where are we saying? Here? Here. We'll move the chat up to there. I think that's probably the best place to put it there. So, yes, that was the opening segment. Not a lot to write home about. Next up, we have the WWE Tag Team Championships on the line. The Street Profits, which it's very noticeable, isn't it? I know sometimes it takes a while when you've got a new theme to kind of really, for the crowd to get familiar with it. But the Street Profits are just the latest in a long line of people to get the Death Rebel treatment, which is their theme song was a CFO's theme song. It was very popular. People very much liked it. I know this is a bit of a different version of the Street Profits. They're not heels, but they've got a bit more of an edge to them. First time they won the tag titles in many years. Their new song, it's just, they got the Death Rebel treatment. They come out and the crowd goes quiet because they're like, who's coming out? And it's just, I don't know. Maybe it will catch on, but not right now, that new Street Profits song. The opponents, of course, are Pretty Deadly. They came out, and Street Profits get the victory after a Doomsday blockbuster. But I tell you what, really enjoyable match. Really enjoyable match. I'll give them credit. I mean, the WWE Tag Team division on SmackDown, on Raw, the tag team division is pretty non-existent. I mean, really needs some work on Raw. But on SmackDown, they have done a good job of building it out. And that is the example of when you've got 3 hours, you can invest time into other things and elevate them. And that is working. You see it with the Women's United States Championship. They've got more time on the show, so they can invest more into it. Same here with the tag team division. You've got credible tag team, Street Profits, Pretty Deadly, DIY, Motor City Machine Guns, etc., etc., etc. But this was a good match. Obviously, the crowd were into Pretty Deadly because obviously they're English. But there were some really creative spots. It was a good finish in the end. And, Street Profits were never going to lose the titles. They've only held them for a couple of weeks. But it does feel like, there was a rumor, wasn't there, that possibly going into WrestleMania, we could have maybe a multi-man match for the tag team championship, maybe a ladder match. You could see them booking a Street Profits versus Pretty Deadly versus Motor City Machine Guns versus DIY kind of thing at WrestleMania. Maybe they bring back the Hardys for that. And Matt Hardy did tease that they've got more planned with WWE, so that would be unique for one night of WrestleMania. So I enjoyed this. I thought this was a good opening match of the show. Crowd really enjoyed it too. So I'll give the Street Profits and Pretty Deadly credit on that one. As I said, Street Profits retained the tag team championships in the process. This was a big announcement made that a bit like as UFC fans would have seen in the UFC Hall of Fame, WWE is now inducting matches and moments into the WWE Hall of Fame. The first match to be inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame will be one of the greatest matches in WrestleMania history, arguably the greatest. It's all very subjective, isn't it? But Stone Cold Steve Austin versus Bret the Hitman Hart, a submission match from WrestleMania 13, will be the first match inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame, and it's one of my favorites. It is pro wrestling at its finest. It was very much outside of what WWE would usually be doing at that time. Obviously, the blood, the grittiness. Ken Shamrock as the special guest referee. And it was a real pivotal point. I mentioned this during the watch-along. 1997, this is why I wish the WWE Network was still around. Hopefully all the episodes will get uploaded onto Netflix. 97 is a fascinating year in WWE because obviously they've been being defeated by Nitro, and they would continue to get defeated by Nitro for a while. 97 is the year where it's like, we've got to do something, we've got to change something. The year begins with WWE still being very, very corny, very, very cartoonish, not good. And then the plan seemingly is to have Bret Hart versus Shawn Michaels, a rematch from WrestleMania 12, obviously the Iron Man match. Shawn loses his smile, the knee injury, and then you get the chaos of, obviously, Austin wins the Rumble, but he didn't. He got eliminated, and then you go into that whereby you have the Final Four, and then Sid wins the championship, then The Undertaker's the champion, and it's a whole thing. And then the WrestleMania card is actually a bit flat because of it. There's not many great matches, but this is a show stealer. And if there was a WrestleMania match that needed to go into the Hall of Fame, it would be this one. Absolutely, it would be this one. So I'm really glad to see that this is that they're putting matches and moments into the Hall of Fame, and now there'll be, there's plenty of great candidates to go into the Hall of Fame. Next up, we had a tag team match. We had Piper Niven and Alba Fire, of course, the Secret Hervis facing off against Kaden Carter and Katana Chance. Again, it was an okay tag team match. The Secret Hervis get the victory. Piper Niven gets the winning pinfall. This led to Zelina Vega coming out post-match to try and attack or stop a beatdown. Eventually, the Secret Hervis and Chelsea Green got the upper hand. One thing I will say with all of this, is the difference between the mid-card championships in the women's division from Raw to SmackDown, I think it's just so massive. You've got Lyra Valkyria on Raw with the Women's Intercontinental Championship, where I still don't think that was the right call to make her the inaugural Women's Intercontinental Champion. In contrast, on SmackDown, you've got Chelsea Green, who's obviously this Secret Hervis gimmick, and she's defended the championship a couple of times. She has a good match with Mitchin. She's had matches on NXT for the Women's United States Championship. I think she's doing a fantastic job of establishing that as a legitimate mid-card championship. And I think she's done a really good job. I think the Secret Hervis gimmick, the crowd like it, and they're into it too. I don't think there should be any plans for Chelsea Green to be dropping the Women's United States Championship anytime soon. So I think she's done a great job with that, certainly. Next up, we had United States Championship on the line. Braun Strowman, of course, he won by disqualification a show at LA Knight last week. So the United States Championship was on the line, and it was very predictable what was going to happen, wasn't it? Jacob Fatu gets involved. Jacob Fatu causes the disqualification, attacks both men. It ends in no contest. He Attacks LA Knight, he attacks Braun Strowman, he does the moonsaults, does the hip attacks in the corner. Not surprising whatsoever, that's what Fatu did. And we then go to a backstage segment where Miz and Carmelo Hayes, they set up a match with Jimmy Uso later on in the night. But following the United States Championship match, you have Solo Sikoa and Tama Tonga go up to Jacob Fatu and basically say, what was that? You didn't tell us about that. You didn't tell us you were going to do that. What's going on? He says, look, you cost me it last week, and I'm going to get the United States Championship, and you're either going to do it with me or you're going to do it, without me, effectively. It's kind of, again, planting those seeds and putting Tama Tonga and Solo Sikoa on notice, effectively. You're going to do it with me or you're going to do it without me. So, someone did mention this earlier on, and I'll be interested to know what you guys think about it. I suppose it is probably a legitimate concern for some people, which is the direction that this one looks like it's going, once again, is the United States Championship is probably going to be on the line in a multi-man match. Now, are there too many multi-man matches possibly prepared for WrestleMania 41 at this point? Because if this is a United States Championship match, it could be a triple threat at the moment where it's Fatu versus Strowman versus LA Knight US Championship. Or it could be Fatal 4-Way, Solo Sikoa, Fatu, Strowman, LA Knight United States Championship. We know a triple threat match has happened at WrestleMania. I just spoke about a tag team match possibly being a multi-man match at WrestleMania 2. So there's a lot of different possible multi-man matches there, isn't there? Which I think is a bit. I think you just got to be very careful. There's a very fine line, isn't there? There's a very fine line between doing too many of those multi-man matches. But that does look like that's the direction that's going to head in, doesn't it? That's what I think anyway. Star-Lord's in the chat. Big up Star-Lord. Says big up Owen. Says, or should I say big up Owen? Sir Owen, SJA winner. Well, it's definitely not Sir. Adam says click the like button. Indeed, big up Adam. And Gareth says 100% Punk deserves all of his flowers. We'll get to the Punk stuff shortly. We'll get to the CM Punk main eventing WrestleMania. Next up, we had, this was brilliant. I want to give Naomi her flowers coming out of SmackDown this evening, because there was a vignette and you can see tears running down her face explaining her decision for attacking Jade Cargill. This was really, really, really well done. And I've been quite critical of some of the build to WrestleMania recently and saying this doesn't feel very WrestleMania-ish and a lot of stuff hasn't felt good. But in fairness, WWE, I think, has done an excellent job with not only this Naomi heel turn, but also suddenly Naomi versus Jade Cargill, which isn't, that doesn't scream WrestleMania level feud or WrestleMania worthy feud or what have you. It feels quite significant, doesn't it? It feels quite important. Naomi's one of the better things happening on SmackDown. And actually, of the segments that they've done, the Naomi segment with Bianca Belair a couple of weeks ago, that was really, really well done. Last week when Naomi attacked Jade Cargill and Jade Cargill's match with Liv Morgan, that was really well done. Naomi here, this vignette, that was really well done. She's kind of got the old school Owen Hart caution warning tape going on with her new attire. I think this has been excellent, and I think it's really allowing Naomi to show what she's capable of, and everyone knows what she's capable of too. I mean, obviously we've seen Naomi be a women's champion in WWE with the glow stuff, and when she was in TNA as Trinity, she did really, really good work there, Knockouts world champion. But you see the range. She's a top quality performer, top quality athlete, and I think this is going to be a real, real big development for her. She's absolutely doing fantastic in this new heel role. And I still say, yes, she attacked Jade Cargill, but I think she attacked her because Bianca Belair put her up to it. I'm still saying that this was Bianca Belair's involved somehow. That's still my prediction for all of this. That's still my prediction. We've got 65 people watching. We're at 32 likes. If you haven't already, click the like button. Let's see if we can get to a quick 50 likes, and also be sure to subscribe as well. As you've seen, new subscribers, their name pops up here as well. So if you are a new subscriber, your name will pop up there too. And then we're going to have Michin versus Charlotte Flair, and right after we saw this Naomi vignette, she attacks Michin and B-Fab before the match begins. B-Fab gets taken away, and Michin has to kind of fight Charlotte Flair whilst dealing with the attack. Charlotte Flair gets the victory with the figure eight. it was fine. You know, Charlotte Flair just, I suppose, getting reps in before WrestleMania. And one thing's for sure, though. I mean, when we talk about Michin, good worker, isn't she? Good worker. I mean, I hope eventually she gets a run with the US Championship, because she's had good matches with Chelsea Green. I think she's a good hand, and I think she, you know, you can always count on her to have a decent match. Maybe not amazing, but a decent match. So yeah, and that of course was because Naomi attacked them because they did a thing where they were talking about how, you know, that they're affiliated with Jade Cargill, so she's attacking her friends. It led to Jade Cargill coming out and she had a bit of a stare down with Charlotte Flair as well. After the match, Jackie Redmond did an interview with Tiffany Stratton, which was much better than last week. There was a lot of discourse and, I say concern, but there was a lot of worry that kind of Tiffany Stratton got exposed in the interview segment she had with Charlotte Flair last week. If you didn't see it, there was a old school side-by-side interview where they were on different parts of the arena or in different places, and they were doing the interview. And it felt like Charlotte Flair really did eat her alive when it came to that. She was talking over her quite a bit and just felt like it was sink or swim. And while she didn't necessarily sink, she didn't swim very well either. Tiffany Stratton cut a promo here, and she had some shots at Charlotte Flair saying, oh, if anything, last week just proved that you're worried and all you want to do is talk over me. You have to speak over someone who's younger than you, better than you. It was a much better promo. And I felt that Tiffany Stratton needed that. She needed that tonight, because after what happened last week, where it did look a bit like deer in the headlights a little bit, and she didn't really have anything to sort of go back at Charlotte Flair with. Tonight was a much more solid promo, and I think kind of got her back on track. So I was kind of glad to see that for Tiffany Stratton this evening. Next up, we had Randy Orton versus Drew McIntyre. And like with a lot of matches this evening, the WWE is desperate to protect a lot of people going into WrestleMania. Don't want to have many people doing many jobs. What happened? Drew McIntyre stunningly gets a victory over Randy Orton. Closing moments of the match, looks like Randy Orton's going to go for an RKO. And his sixth sense is not his spidey sense, his viper sense, his slither sense, whatever you want to call it. He realizes that somebody's close, and that somebody is Kevin Owens. And just the distraction alone, Kevin Owens, to be fair, didn't get on the apron, didn't get involved or anything like that. Just Kevin Owens' presence distracted Randy Orton enough. Drew McIntyre hit a claymore and got the 1-2-3. And I tell you what, I'm glad that Drew did get that victory, because he needed it. He's eaten quite a few defeats recently. He was first eliminated at Elimination Chamber, wasn't he? And they need to build some momentum for this WrestleMania. As I just coughed to death. But he needs to build some momentum for WrestleMania, because still, and they did sort this out after in a segment afterwards with Damian Priest and Drew McIntyre. Maybe they are building him up for something post-WrestleMania. I mean, at one point there was rumors, wasn't there, that he was going to challenge Cody Rhodes at some point for the WWE Championship, but now the feeling is that Cena might win it. So what would that mean for Drew post-WrestleMania? I don't know. Maybe he'll get drafted to Raw, and maybe a challenge for the World Heavyweight Championship there. We'll see. But I think he needed that win, and Randy Orton's Randy Orton. You know what I mean? He's protected. You know, it's not, I'll tell you what, suddenly Randy Orton got beat by Drew McIntyre. He's lost credibility. You know, you know what I mean? He's lost credibility. No. I think it's fine. I think it's totally fine. But he did try and get Kevin Owens after the match. It looked like for a second that Kevin Owens was going to try and hit Randy Orton with a pile driver on the announce table. Randy Orton tripped him up. He was going to maybe try and give him the punt kick, and Kevin Owens ran away. We then find out that, yes, indeed, Rey Fenix, that is, they announce him as that, Rey Fenix, which is interesting because, you know, with Penta, they shortened that to Penta, not Penta El Zero Miedo, not Pentagon Jr. With Rey Fenix, I guess he owns his name. So it's Rey Fenix they're going with, and he is debuting on SmackDown next Friday. So he's going to be on WWE television before WrestleMania. He'll be back on TV next Friday. He makes his WWE debut. So him and his brother are going to be on separate brands. Whether they reunite as a tag team at one point remains to be seen. I think this is a good thing because I like Penta as a singles star. Obviously, Rey Fenix did win a singles title in AEW, and they can do the tag team thing together at one point. But I think as a single start, I think Rey Fenix will be just fine. And I'm glad that it's not any LWO stuff. So Rey Fenix, SmackDown debut next Friday. We did also see an Aleister Black vignette during the show. It doesn't look like he's debuting as imminently. The rumor has been, hasn't it, that he's going to be debuting returning, making his return to WWE TV after WrestleMania. But Rey Fenix is before, so that would suggest maybe we're going to have him involved, maybe in some WrestleMania match. Otherwise, why would you debut him this close to WrestleMania if you didn't have plans to use him on the show? So Rey Fenix makes his SmackDown debut next week. We then go into The Miz versus Jimmy Uso. Jimmy Uso gets the victory. Post-match, he cuts a promo on the announce table talking about facing Gunther Monday Night on Raw. I mean, it was largely a match to give Jimmy a singles victory before he faces Gunther on Monday and loses. Like, he will lose. And I wouldn't be shocked, yeah. I mean, I know they're doing the whole thing about can Jey Uso beat him, and Jay's got crisis of confidence. The best thing I think they could do Monday Night on Raw, legitimately, either do a stretcher angle or have Gunther beat Jimmy Uso as quickly as possible. Because I think what they should do Monday on Raw is give more credence to the idea that, bloody hell, Jay's not going to beat him. There's just no chance. He destroyed Jimmy. Absolutely destroyed Jimmy Uso. Just absolutely destroyed him. Or, again, stretch a job if they want to beat him in 10 seconds or something like that. But I think that's what they should do. And maybe that's why they gave Jimmy the win tonight, was just to try and build up that kind of momentum, perhaps. Backstage, this was a bit of an interesting spot. First of all, you had Drew McIntyre talking to Lewis Capaldi, yes, Scottish brethren, talking about they were going to meet each other after the show. But then Damian Priest attacks Drew McIntyre after McIntyre said that Priest hadn't even showed up, and then hits a South of Heaven chokeslam on the car, smashing the windshield. So once again, we've seen Drew get the better of McIntyre in recent weeks, attack him, quite physically brutalize him. This week it was Damian Priest turned for a talk. I mean, I think there's probably a stipulation coming here. How could there not be? I mean, some of the stuff that McIntyre's done to Priest has been so physical. Now you've got, Priest hitting a South of Heaven chokeslam onto the windshield of a car. I mean, surely this is going towards no holds barred, no disqualification, something. That's what it must be feeling like, because of the amount of sort of violence that's been involved here. The violence is only escalating. So if they now go to just a regular singles match, that doesn't really feel like it fits in with what they've been building to. So I would think it's got to be. Surely it would be to some kind of stipulation, perhaps at WrestleMania. And now we go to the contract signing. Roman Reigns was first to come out. He was getting serenaded with all of these chants. He puts pen to paper, signs the contract. Out comes Seth Rollins, talking about their history together as the Shield. We changed the place, and Roman Reigns says, "It wasn't we, it was me. It was all me." And he said, "We died a long time ago." Rollins puts pen to paper. CM Punk comes out and he looks through, and he goes, he's looking before he puts pens to paper, and Reigns says, "What's taking you so long? What's taking you so? Why? What's going on?" Sends Paul Heyman over and goes, "What you're looking for, it's in there. You will be a main eventer of WrestleMania. This triple threat will main event WrestleMania." So it is confirmed. Both main events of WrestleMania. We now know what they're going to be. WrestleMania Night 1, the main event will be Roman Reigns versus Seth Rollins versus CM Punk. Main event of Night 2 of WrestleMania will be Cody Rhodes versus John Cena. Those are the two main events. They're already confirmed. And CM Punk gets very emotional because, of course, that's his dream. That's what he wanted to do for his whole career, is main event WrestleMania. Now, now you're going to get into the semantics about it, isn't it? Going, is it really the main event if it's night 1? Blah, blah, blah. But it's the main event of WrestleMania, which is what CM Punk has wanted to do. Originally, he was set to main event night 1 of WrestleMania last year against Seth Rollins. That was going to be the main event. And obviously then a lot changed with his injury and then obviously the Cody stuff, etc., etc., etc. But so you're going, all right, that's the favor then. That's the favor. And during this, Punk puts pen to paper, he signs it. And then the credits come up, executive producer, Paul Levesque and Lee Fitting, and go, all right, it's over. But it wasn't over. I don't know if they put it up early. It was very weird what they decided to do at this point. But Roman Reigns says, all right, say thanks, you're main eventing WrestleMania because of me, blah, blah, blah. And this was the favor. And CM Punk says, I appreciate that, and thanks him. Thanks the tribal chief, the head of the table, the big dog, which got an ooh from the crowd because Reigns doesn't like being called the big dog. But then also said, that wasn't the favor. That wasn't the favor. So the question is, what is the favor? If that's not the favor, then what is the favor going to be? Is the favor going to be, it's a pretty big favor, isn't it, that you screw Roman Reigns and you side with me? Is the favor? Wow, I don't know. What do you guys think the favor could be at this point? I mean, in terms of a segment, it was a bit like what they've been recently. The majority of it is their entrances, to be honest. Rollins feels like a complete afterthought, and I'm half convinced he's in there to eat a pinfall, and then it's going to spin off into Reigns versus Punk or something like that. I don't know, but Rollins feels like a total afterthought. And for those that are saying that's by design, I think him just being in there is just to sort of placate, have Rollins be in there, and again, I think he's probably going to eat a pin. I would be stunned if Seth Rollins won and closes WrestleMania. Now we know it's the main event, unless there is some kind of major turn where like Paul Heyman is with Seth Rollins, which I don't want to see because I just don't think it's necessary. I think that's a turn for the sake of doing a turn. That's the only way I could see Seth Rollins winning that triple threat. I mean, it's main event, so you just think, what would be the closing shot of the first night of WrestleMania? It would have to be something big. So that's where I go, okay, something to do with the match. Would it be, Reigns attacks Heyman or Punk aligns with Heyman to get is that what it's going to be? Perhaps. So there's a lot of discussion about, I guess, what the favor could be. Is it going to be a match stipulation? I don't know. I really don't know. I mean, the only thing I can think of as the favor would be that you turn on Reigns, but that's more than a favor, isn't it? You could, I teamed up with Roman Reigns, so the favor is you have to screw Roman Reigns. Does that make a lot of sense? I'm not sure. Is the favor? I'm not sure. I genuinely don't know. Does he save the favor for after WrestleMania? That wasn't the favor. The favor was, I want the WWE Championship that's got John Cena now holds. Is that what the favor is going to be? So there's still different things. And wrestling fans, and I include myself in this, wrestling fans, we love a mystery. We love to guess. We love to speculate. So the speculation as to what the favor is and the favor to be revealed, I mean, people will go wild with that and they'll try and guess what that is. As far as Punk main eventing WrestleMania, the first night of this triple threat main eventing it, I can't think of another match that should main event it over it, to be honest. And I think, to be honest, that's probably a failure on WWE's part, honestly, because there are other matches that maybe if they'd built them up correctly could have main evented. You look towards Charlotte Flair versus Tiffany Stratton. If they'd have done it the right way, then there could have been a possibility, but it doesn't feel WrestleMania main event worthy. And that's been one of the criticisms that I've had of going into this WrestleMania, is that it's a one match weekend, which is Cena Cody. Everything else feels very flat. Everything else feels very, I'm sure it'll be good on the night and good match, but and this match is main event in night one on star power alone. Really, you got three of the biggest draws in WWE right now, three of the biggest stars. So it feels, I suppose, in terms of the best of the rest outside of the Cena Cody match, you look at that card and you go, what match feels like a WrestleMania main event there? And you would probably look at it and go, well, yeah, then the triple threat, because everything else doesn't. You're not going to have Randy Orton, Kevin Owens main event WrestleMania, are you? Not going to have probably any of the women's matches this time around main event. They don't feel like it. Doesn't feel that big. And I think they really need to work on that, because they should get to a point where you can have a women's match main event WrestleMania again. But again, I think that's probably a failure on Triple H's part, is that some of those women's division feuds and matches just ain't there. They're not there yet to be main event in WrestleMania. So in terms of star power, in terms of a first, and they like to do a first, which would be Punk's first WrestleMania main event. And like I said, it says to me that there is a big angle at play here. I think that's the other part of it too. There is clearly, in my opinion, a direction that they are heading in, that the first night of WrestleMania is going to close with something big happening. I don't see the first night of WrestleMania closing with just someone's hand getting raised and they won. You know, like Roman Reigns and Paul Heyman are up the ramp pointing to the sky. They won. I just don't see it. For me, I just with this whole favor stuff, there is some kind of angle happening. Whether it's Heyman turning on Reigns, or with Heyman aligning with Punk, or Heyman turning on Punk, or something. I think something is happening there, or getting involved. When Becky Lynch returns and gives Seth Rollins the victory, you know, something is happening. I think when it comes to that, there's an angle, there's a bit of business that I think is going to happen. I can't tell you what it is, but I think that's the direction that this is heading in. So we'll see. We'll see if when we get closer to WrestleMania, we find out what the favor is, and we'll go from there. So that was SmackDown for you from London, England. In terms of 3-hour show, as always, could have been cut down to, well, I've spoken about it in 35 minutes, because that's how, you know, it doesn't necessarily need to be that short, but it can be a 2-hour show, 2.5-hour show, and I'll be grateful in the summer when it goes back to a 2-hour show, because it's just 3 hours of wrestling every week. It was when it first started. Well, it was when WCW did it in the 90s, let alone now. It's absolutely no way. We're 9 likes away from 50 likes. If you haven't already, click the like button. Be sure to subscribe as well as we get closer to 20k. Less than 350 subscribers to go. So big up to everyone that's tuned in this evening for the watch along and also for the post show. News videos, as always, will be dropping tomorrow. We'll have countdown videos over the weekend too. You guys have really been enjoying that. So we'll probably have at least 1, maybe 2 countdown videos. Maybe Saturday and Sunday we'll have countdown videos going out, as well as all of the news videos as per usual. We'll be back for a watch along and a post show Monday for Raw, also from London, in England at the O2, and a post show for that. I'll be live 15 minutes before Raw goes on the air, live internationally and domestically on Netflix, and then and then Friday we'll be back in the States. So I don't know if we'll have one next Friday. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. But plenty of content coming soon. We've got AEW Dynasty is next weekend. I think it's next weekend, isn't it? I'll be live for that. I'll have a watch along and a post show for that one too. And then, of course, we get closer and closer to WrestleMania. There'll be more watch-alongs, more post-shows, lots of live content, and all that fun stuff. So appreciate everyone that's getting involved in the channel. Appreciate everyone that's joined the WN365 roster. You can click the join button. Links in the video description. It's also pinned in the chat. You get your badges, your emojis, and your exclusive members-only content too. So it's all go here at WrestleNews 365. Appreciate everyone for tuning in, and I'll speak to you again very soon. I'm out of here. Peace.